Hello there, this is Elizabeth Yang. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about turning passion into online profits. Decide on these two things to really make that difference in your life and your business. Now, I'm just going to do a quick tech check here. Let's see here. Am I on? Yes. So if you're watching this live or catching the replay, let me know. I am always fascinated with where people are at, so let me know where you are tuning in from. Spend 30 minutes with me, and I promise you this. You're going to make two life-changing decisions, whether you are a millionaire looking to start your next idea or you are in startup trying to start a business that is really going to make the difference in whether or not you can really launch your online business and turn your passion into profits. Stick with me, and we are going to work through those decisions that you need to make. So let's see here. Where are you chiming in from? I just want to, Minnesota's in the house, right? How do you truly turn your passion into an online business, right? If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I am Elizabeth Yang. I am the founder of the Customer Yes Lab, where my team builds for you, done for you courses in 90 days while you and I are working on your business strategy. One of the things that makes me really unique is I'm all about saying yes more in life and business. I'm all about actually picking one of 6 online income streams, from courses to online events to group programs, that are based on 2 things. This is where I think you can make the biggest difference in your business, whether it's e-commerce or just truly service-based. And that is to launch your online income stream based on your strengths, and 2, the fastest results that you can deliver for the person that you want to serve, your customer. That's the secret to getting more customer yeses. Oftentimes we focus on what? We focus on what we want to do as the business owner, right? But the reality is we can only turn passion into profits if we're really clear about who our customer is and what is the vehicle, which is your product, your service, that is going to deliver the fastest results for him or for her. Nobody wants more courses to watch. No one wants to spend 2-3 hours just to learn. Like, nobody wants any of that. But what we want is what that enables us to do, right? Are you feeling me on that? Drop me some hearts if you're hearing me on that, right? Who wants to spend more time consuming content, reading books, watching videos, and tutorials? Nobody, right? Nobody has time for that. So tell me where you are chiming in from. I see someone here. They're in Minnesota. And if you are just catching this live with me and you want the notes to my show today, drop a comment, handouts below, and me and my team will get that notes out to you. All right. So let's talk about what are the 2 decisions that you really need to make when you're thinking about turning your passion into online profits. I've had the privilege of working and talking to, startup dreamers, wannabe entrepreneurs who really dream about starting their own business. And they often say things like, I will do that one day, right? And I've had the privilege and honor of working with successful entrepreneurs, business owners, and consulting in big, large Fortune 500 companies on really how to build an online revenue income stream, or really drive efficiency, build leadership and capacity with who and what they're hiring and building out in their businesses. Now, you might think that these customers are very different from startup to mature businesses. But the truth is, they're really not. At the end of the day, they're still after one thing, and that is, how do I get more customers to say yes to me? And that is all driven by the company, the brand, the person's ability to communicate most clearly the human connection, the emotional motivator, what drives that customer. And then from there, reverse engineer the product and the service to deliver to that person, right? So, what's that first decision? What is that first decision that you need to say yes to as you're thinking about turning your passion into an online profit? Grab a pen and paper, write this down. If you're driving, just type comments in the comments handout, and my team and I will get you these notes so you can reflect on these on later. But because of these conversations, I've now had the privilege of really just figuring out who's in it or who's out. Now, of course, if you're thinking to yourself, well, why would this be so hard for people to decide if whether or not they want to make money? Well, one of the entrepreneurs that I often work with are those that are vision driven, purpose driven, and impact driven, right? And so they really want to run a business or launch an organization initiative, but really about the purpose and the work. How many of you watching today are all about that? Let me know in the comments. Are you about the mission, the purpose, and making money too? Or are you just about the money, right? It's okay. There are some business owners that are just all about the money, not so much about the community. That's all right. But for those of you that are really focused here, that is all about passion, purpose, and profits, then I'm talking to you. I am talking to you because I know that most of the time, people that are purpose driven, this is what they often struggle with. First decision, say yes to yourself and be really honest with these two questions. Why do you want to do it? And who do you want to serve for an impact on a larger scale? Phyllis here says she's all about passion, right? Yes, right? So, why do you want to do it? And there's three distinct ways that I want you to think about it. And this is oftentimes, I was just on a call with a client recently, and we were talking about her next big idea. She already has a successful business, but she wants to now launch something that is completely different from what she's been doing for the last several years, right? And here's the biggest thing when I say, why do you want it? And what is it that you really want? And here's the difference when it comes to purpose driven entrepreneurs who are passionate, but also want profit. You got to think, is it a community project, a hobby, or is it a business? All three of those are great, and we need more of them in our community to make an impact. But businesses online serve three things, and this is going to be the biggest difference that you can think about when it comes to your business. And if you are watching this and you're like, I can't write this down, just type handout in the comments and you can grab my notes. We'll get that up, link out to you. To know if it's a business or a community project or just a hobby is, do you actually have a sales number in mind that you want to hit in 6 to 12 months? Okay. Have you made that decision? I was talking to, as I mentioned, a client, and she was saying, I really want to do this. And of course I want to make money. And I said, okay, so how much? And she's like, I don't know. Maybe 5,000. And I said, 5,000 a month extra? She's like, no, just to cover my costs per year. Right. And I said to her, dear, that's not a business. That's a hobby. Right. Like that's a hobby. You're talking to me and saying 5,000 a year, right? That's what, $30,000, $40,000 of a side hustle income extra per year as a side business. That to me is a pretty nice side hustle, right? But if it's $5,000 just to cover your costs of education and training, you don't need to be a business for that. You don't need to be a business for that. You could do a fundraiser and get money to do that, right? So have a sales goal. The second thing is you have a clear conversion plan on how to achieve those sales numbers. Oftentimes, I was talking to another client of mine, and she, at the time, had already had a very large social media following. I would consider her an influencer. Every day in the fitness space, she was launching and putting out amazing content that were inspiring big, curvier women on being fit. But in her heart, she always wanted to launch a swimwear line that were for curvy bodies. Okay. She's always wanted to do this, but she never did it. And I remember having this conversation with her, gosh, maybe 3 years ago. And about 3 years later, she came back and she's like, I'm still thinking about this. I'm still thinking about this. I don't know why, even with my huge social media following, why I haven't really made money from it. Right. And so the question that I asked her when it came to that, because she was all about fitness for bigger women, was, is it a hobby as an influencer? Or are you really trying to be a business? There's a difference, right? Like if you're trying to be a business, you're trying to monetize, you set a goal that you're going a sales goal that you're going to hit in 6 to 12 months, right? And you have a clear conversion path, right? Like for her, it was okay, how do I take my influencers to engage with me and eventually leave breadcrumbs to lead them to a sale, whether it's a course, a swimwear line, whatever that is for her, but it's got to go somewhere, right? It's not a, I don't know if anyone will buy it and I'm just putting it out there. If that's how you're testing it, you never test it enough to know whether or not it's going to be a viable business for you, right? The last thing, the third thing that makes it different from just a hobby, a community project, or a business online is that you're all in on being online. Let me say that again. You are all in on being online because you know in your heart that to get your purpose out there, you've got to be accessible, you've got to be reachable. And the only way you can do that, my friends, is to show up online. What that means, this is really critical for you to decide. What that means is you're going to have to work through any limiting beliefs or fears that you might have about being on video, about doing lives, about the noise of creating content online. You're going to have to work through all of that. You will. You will. Because in order for people to find you, in order for people to reach you, right, you've got to work through that, right? And that's got to be all part of your conversion path. And Phyllis here says, oh, that's my downfall. No, Phyllis, you can turn that into a strength. You really can. Because here's the reality, right? You're not the only one that is afraid of showing up online with videos and things like that. But as I often tell my students and clients, right, when it comes to online income stream and social media and things like that, you only need to be consistent in just a couple of different things, right? And I always say, do what your strengths are. You do what your strengths are. Just because everyone's doing courses does not mean that everyone should be doing courses, right? And this is so key. This is so key. And I'll talk about that in decision two, right? So those are some of the different things, decisions that you need to make, right? Let me just repeat them. You got to say yes to yourself and decide the impact that you want to make. Why do you want to do it? And who do you want to serve and impact on a larger scale? I once had a client that I was working with. She had a really successful health and wellness business locally. She was network marketing. And she knew that her next chapter, which was all about empowering and changing people's lives, she needed to be online because the people in her current community only knew her as one way. And she knew that in order for her to create this next chapter for herself and reinvent herself, she needed a new audience. And the only way to do that without flying and traveling everywhere was to go online, right? So when you believe in your impact and you really believe that the online space is going to reach your people and really allow you to serve the highest self and really make that impact, you will figure out how to show up online, right? And the beauty with the online that I think most people take for granted, even with the scariness of lives and content and things like that, is that after I would say a good 90-day of consistent content, it sort of works itself out. When you're growing all of that, and you have a process and a very clear conversion path and you're doing everything and you're laying out the breadcrumbs because you know exactly, I call these micro yes breadcrumbs are going to lead straight to the sale. You know that you're doing that because you have a clear path for conversion. You can do that with confidence, and within 90 days you yield the results of the seeds that you sow. All right, so that's what you got to decide on, right? Community project, is oftentimes a one-time funding. A hobby, you're not really looking to make money on it. If you do, great. If you don't, not so much. But a business that is really about your passion and about online profits requires you to have a sales goal, right? That you want to hit in 6 to 12 months. And if you're like, Elizabeth, I don't know what number, I always just throw out 10,000 out there, $10,000 out there, US dollars out there, and say, okay, can you hit that in 6 months? Can you hit that in 12 months as a side business, right? Because if you can hit that, you have done enough testing to really understand who your market is. You've done enough testing to figure out if I really like this, if it's a good idea or a bad idea, and I want to continue or not. And you've done enough of it where you're starting to build the muscles that we all need to build in terms of our own skill set, our tool set, our mindset, and our care set to really get to really launching a business and hitting that six-figure mark, right? So that magic number is usually around $10,000. And I usually say it's either 6 months or 12 months, but don't let that be like 5 years. No, 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 no. If it's 5 years, it's not a business. You're still dreaming. You're still in dream up stage. Are you hearing me on that? All right. So what's the second decision that you need to make when you're thinking about turning passion into online profits? You have to say yes to your future growth. Be honest with yourself. If you really want to turn this into a business, right? And you've made the decision that yes, one, I'm going to be online because I know that being online is going to increase my access. It's going to increase my purpose. And I know that with 90 days committed to building and being consistent, showing up and building my online content, it will work for itself, which is unlike traditional brick and mortar businesses. Okay. And you got a sales goal and a clear conversion path on how to lead to the sale, right? Then the second decision that you need to make is, yeah, can you really see yourself doing this with the team? Which means that you really want to grow yourself and your business. And my friend, you cannot do it alone. You cannot do it alone. Solopreneurs, I think, are some of the hardest working people that I know. But even being a solopreneur, you only have so much time and capacity and resources. It is very challenging, not impossible, but very challenging to hit six figures being completely solo. Okay, I'm talking about like no VAs, maybe a couple of contract hired help for projects, but it's very hard. And so you got to say yes to yourself and your future growth and say, do I really see myself really doing this with a team? And the reason why that's so important for you to start to think about that is you start to make a decision that is very different when it's just you. I'll give you an example, right? I was working with a client and he wanted to first start a course, develop a course. And his course was, he wanted it to be all about getting people invested in real estate property, right? Now, the way that I teach how to launch an online income stream in 90 days is based on your strengths and desires. I do it on two things. I do it on based on your strengths. Look, not everybody is meant to have a course. Like that should not be the first thing you launch. Just because you're an expert at real estate may not always mean that you're an expert at teaching a course. All right. I'm going to keep it real. That's what I said to him. Right. And that's why he wanted to work with me to really fine tune and how to do that really fit his personality, but still deliver results. Because at the end of the day, the second decision when you're thinking about your online income stream is not only what are my strengths that I need to start with, but two, what's the fastest return on investment? What's the fastest results that I could deliver for my customers, right? I mean, think about it. If you're targeting busy executives, do they really want a freaking course? No, right? But maybe if it's a college student that you're targeting or a stay-at-home mom with maybe a little bit more flexibility than a busy executive, a course makes sense, doesn't it? So not to say that you can't have one, right? But the way that you augment your program is really critical, because if you cannot deliver results for the customer that you're serving, you can't get your next sale. Some people can sell a course. Some people can sell a course, and whether or not the people actually complete it, either like, you bought my course, it's up to you to be accountable, right? But I actually think that that's the wrong way to think about it, because let's be real. When you first launch and your customers that bought a self-service DIY course, if they do not complete that course, you, my friend, get zero, nada testimonials or social proof. And when you get zero, nada testimonial proofs from your course, that makes it really hard to relaunch again and get your next customer, because you don't have social proof that it's working. And then what happens? Self doubt creeps in, you lose confidence. Crap, I spent all that time recording that course. Okay, I digress. But you know what I'm saying with that, right? Is that you got to be able to think about what your strengths are and the fastest results for the customers that you're serving, right? And in order for you to think that way, you've got to really say yes to your future growth. And what I mean by that is, can you see yourself growing and making your impact on the world with your purpose by growing a team? Because the way that you approach that the way that your mindset about that shifts, right? So I was talking to this client, we were talking about how to create a course or a program to get people into real estate investment, right? And he's like, I just want to do a course. And I was like, well, do you really think that for a rookie who's getting into that the first time, a course makes sense? And I said, I don't think, I said, I don't know if that's necessarily like your strength, like doing a course. He was a very personable guy. So I think you kind of have to do live, right? With the course to augment, right? Anyways, where I was going with that was that he needed to shift his mindset, because the way that he was thinking about launching his online income stream, I mean, he's already had a very successful real estate company, broker, and all that great stuff, was that he needed to think about, how do I start to grow myself online to serve and make a bigger impact, but also having a team online, because all of that needs to come together, right? You can't just serve and have a product. You've got to think about all of that. So when he was making a decision, he was just thinking about himself as a solopreneur, even a successful real estate investor, with just a course and just trying to get people educated about real estate investment, right? But I said, well, if you were to grow this and this became really successful, do you see yourself growing this with the team? Because if you do, what you've got to start doing is working smarter, not harder, and start thinking, how do I build a community now? And that, my friend, is the reason why I want you to say yes to your future growth when you're launching an online income stream is, can I see myself doing this with others? Can I see myself doing this with a team? Because your customers are your team. You got to launch building a community. If you are purpose driven, if you are passion driven, if you are vision driven, the impact that you can make, that ripple effect right off the bat when you launch, you got to think about the community you're building. And I'm not just talking about a Facebook group here, friends. I am talking about building a community of your customers that are behind the work that you're doing. That's how you go faster. That's how you grow. That's how you start to develop and launch online income streams that are about making money, but also about purpose, right? If you launch and you're only thinking about that one course, or you're only thinking about that one book, and you're not sitting back and saying, okay, what's my impact? Why do I want to do it? And do I see myself doing this with a team? It shifts everything for you. It shifts everything for you. Is this making sense? Are you loving this? If you are loving this, send me some emojis, drop me some hearts in the comments, and let me know, right? Because this is so key when you are looking at turning your passion into an online profit income stream. Like, it's okay if you just want to do a hobby and sell a couple of things on Etsy, right? But if you really want to say, I want to be able, oh, I see some hearts coming in through. I want to be able to make an impact. I want to be able to build a business that will replace my job income, or I'm really bored because I've had a really successful real estate business and I want to be able to take that knowledge and turn it into something online that I can not only monetize for the sake of monetization, but I can truly mentor and help people grow so they can build wealth for their families too. Because, hey, I came from humble beginnings and that's why I want to do it, right? Then you've got to shift differently. Folks, you've got to shift differently. Okay. So here are two other tips that I'm going to share with you. So, you know, the two decisions you're going to make. Decision one, be honest with yourself and say yes to the impact that you want to make. Why do you want to do it? And who do you want to serve and make an impact with at a larger scale? Because that is going to determine whether or not you're doing a community project, a hobby, or if you're truly looking to build a business. Because again, remember, in online business, you have to have three things. You have to have sales goal, 6 to 12 months. Can I hit X number of dollars? Two, a clear conversion path. And everything that you do, you need to have breadcrumbs that lay out the micro yeses to get to the big yes, which is the sale, lead to sale. And three, you got to go all in and online, because if you really want to be able to serve at a higher level, you got to be able to say, I will work through all of the hesitancies that I might have because I believe the world needs me. And they do, right? Like, all of our lessons can make a difference in other people's lives, hands down. I don't care if you're launching a book, if you're an author, a podcast. I always say it doesn't really matter where you start, but how you make money always comes back to the business fundamentals, right? I've been at this game way too long to know that. The second decision, say yes to your future growth. Can you see yourself doing this with the team? Because if you can say yes to that, it doesn't make you uncomfortable. It doesn't make you step away from your own leadership. You own your leadership and you launch with whatever online income stream you want to launch with in mind that you're building not customers to get more yeses, but you're building a community, a following that believes in what you believe in, that is going to make that impact. And that, my friend, is how you can turn your passion into an online profits. Okay. So two other tips that I just want to share with you. The first one is you got to shift when you're a purpose-driven, vision-driven individual, entrepreneur, whether you're a startup or you're already 7 figures looking to launch your next startup idea, is you got to shift from a charity mindset to a prosperity mindset. And the reason why is because I've worked with so many passion-driven, purpose-driven individuals, as this all gets into the money mindset. You don't charge enough for your value. You don't know how to price for your value. You feel guilty that in order for you to serve, you're charging, right? So you got to shift from charity mindset to prosperity mindset. That's that second hot tip that I'm going to share with you. And the reason why is, folks, I've been in the space for a really long time. I not only am running businesses and consulting or helping other people launch their next big idea, but I also give back a lot to my community. And what I have seen over and over again is people need to invest in themselves. And the quickest way there, fastest way there to hold them accountable is to have them financially invest. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain communities that don't necessarily have the financial means to invest, right? But when they have skin in the game, whether it's through effort or financial investment, they show up differently. How many times have you signed up for a free yoga class and then all of a sudden something came up and you didn't go? Do you think that instructor just decided that she didn't feel like it and she didn't go? No, she still showed up, right? But when you paid for that class, 20 bucks, 50 bucks, 10 bucks, 200 bucks, you're going to show up no matter what because you've paid. People show up differently. It's not about paying for money and self-worth. My friends, shift from charity mindset to prosperity mindset, because what you are teaching your customer is this: when you invest in me, I invest in you. And when we can invest in each other, right, your level of performance goes up. That is the biggest gift my friends, that you can give the people that you want to serve is you can train them, teach them to invest in themselves. When things are free, people don't value it, period. There's a freebie strategy that makes sense, and then there's adding value and transforming lives. And you gotta have skin in the game. Gotta have skin in the game. You gotta have skin in the game. So shift from a charity mindset to a prosperity mindset. When you teach them to invest with you, they are investing in themselves. They show up at a higher level. They're much more committed, right? They expect more from you. And guess what? Because you know they paid for you, how are you going to show up? How are you going to show up? You're going to show up at a higher level. You're going to show up and say, oh my God, they invested in me, and you're going to pour it all out there for them, right? Because you know that they invest in you. And my friend, if I am talking to you because you're purpose driven and vision driven, you're going to pour it out. But when you go and you're like, I'm going to do this free class or I'm going to do this free course, you hold back a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like you do, because there's this mindset that says, I might be giving away too much, or you might not even prep for it because you're like, oh, it's a free class. Whatever they get, right? We prepare, we show up differently, okay? So I hope that you are hearing me loud and clear in that shift from a charity mindset to a prosperity mindset. You ain't doing nobody no favors when you're trying to serve and really just trying to make it all about pricing, okay? There's a strategy behind it. Don't get me wrong, if you're purpose driven, right? Passion driven, profit driven. I often teach my clients that there's a way to be able to fund the work that you do and still give back to charity to those that maybe can't afford working with you yet, but they still got to have skin in the game. Always. Okay? Last thing I'll leave with you with, and this all has to do with this whole charity mindset and prosperity mindset, this whole thing with a community project, a hobby, or a real online business, right? All right, so I'm gonna keep it real. You know I'm gonna keep this real, right? All right, so she says, I love the how do you want to show up? This changed my mindset last year. Yes, yes. So if you want notes on this, just type handout in the comments because you know I'm quite talkative and you'll get my handout on this. My team and I will get that out to you, right? But are you loving this? If you are, send me some hearts because, you know, these are some really tough times right now. And a lot of people are either losing their jobs or they're in a tough job situation economically, or they're having to reinvent themselves with business. And I am so committed for 2021 to turn and launch more online entrepreneurs, more purpose-driven, passionate entrepreneurs online. I am so committed to that because the world needs purpose-driven, passion-driven people out there, not just people that's about money, right? There's plenty of people out there. But one of the challenges that I often see with purpose-driven and people and passion-driven people is, how do I monetize? How do I turn my knowledge of 30 years of experience into something? Will they buy it? How do I package it? When is it good enough to launch? These are all of the things I help my clients work through. And I never want it to be a cookie cutter business. I want this to be something you can stand behind because it's a co-creative process between you and me. All right. So, all right. Let's see. We're at 35 minutes. Okay. So this week, because it's a holiday, that's why I showed up all festive with you guys, because unfortunately my family and I, we're just going to keep really low key and we're not going to be doing any holiday photos or holiday outings this year, but I'm thinking of you, so that's why I dressed up and played some Christmas music here for you. All right, so let's talk about the other hot tips. So I mentioned 3 of them, right? So one, set a sales goal to hit in the next 6 to 12 months. You're like, hey, how much? $10,000. Make that happen in the next 6 to 12 months. That's how you know. Because that path, that journey to get there will force you to show up differently, make some really hard decisions. And what you're going to realize is that you need to make an investment in yourself, time or money. It's always those two, right? Last thing, shift from a charity mindset to a prosperity mindset. It's not about charity. Charity has its place, right? It's about prosperity. You want to train your customers to invest in you because you show up and you invest in them. It's reciprocity. And lastly, going back to my purpose-driven entrepreneurs, right? Passion, vision-driven. Look, you know I keep it real, and I say this from a place of love. You can't turn a Walmart shopper into a Nordstrom shopper. You can't. You cannot turn a Walmart shopper into a Nordstrom shopper. Nothing wrong with Walmart. I prefer Target. I love shopping at Nordstrom too. But what often happens when you've made the decision that you're going to launch your online business, your online income stream, you often price at a lower price point. And then it's either free, right? Or it's so low that the people that you attract are like Walmart shoppers, right? And then you hope and pray. And again, because most business entrepreneurs lack a clear path for conversion, right? Breadcrumbs that lead to the sale. This is what I help my clients with. I make it a no-brainer because it's all about consistency. Keep it really simple. Just show up. These are the 5 things you do, right? Like keep it really simple. Don't overcreate and overfluff content. Let's keep it focused, right? Is you cannot attract Walmart shoppers, one night stand clients, those that buy once or buy none at all because they're all there for the freebies, and then expect them. This blows my mind. Expects them to turn into like Nordstrom shoppers and say, oh my gosh, it must be me. I'm not adding value. I'm not serving them enough. I'm not giving enough. And I'm like sitting there and I'm saying, you just attracted freebies and one night stand clients, Walmart shoppers, and now you're saying that you want to make them be Nordstrom shoppers. Huh. More educating to a Walmart shopper and trying them to get them to shop at Nordstrom does not happen. It does not happen. Are you hearing me on that? So what do you need to do? What do you need to do here? And we're talking about turning passion into online projects, profits. It's a community project, hobby, business, right? Look, you got to set your price high. Yeah, you got to set your price high. And here's why. Going into the customer mindset. Customers love a sale and a discount. It makes us happy, doesn't it? But you know what we don't love? We're never happy when a business or a company raises their prices. We're not. So oftentimes when I'm working with purpose-driven and vision-driven, right? Like, don't get me wrong, there's a strategy with offering things for free. There's a strategy with going in at a lower price point than ultimately where you want to go. But I always say this with my clients and students, and I'll share this with you, is you go in at a price point and you're constantly, because we have worked on a clear conversion plan, we have a plan on how you're going to hit and monetize in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. So every time you launch, you're raising prices, period, right? Because why? Because every round you get better, every round you're adding more value. So don't go in at a low price, hoping and praying and attracting Walmart shoppers and then praying that they're going to become Nordstrom shoppers. And then they say, I just need to do more educating. No, people don't want more education. No, people don't want to spend hours and hours in a course. No, people don't want more education on why I should shop at Nordstrom when I love shopping at Walmart. You have attracted me to work with you at low price points. And now you're telling me that you're trying to educate me to go shop at Nordstrom? Like, that's exactly what most entrepreneurs do, right? And that is the worst mistake that you could ever make. Because you know why? Because when you're ready to now raise your prices, guess what? You got to reinvent the wheel. You got to start over. Now you got to start attracting the Nordstrom shoppers, not the Walmart shoppers. All that effort wasted. All that effort, nada, right? So that's why I say to you, set your price at a decent high price point so that you're attracting the customers that you really want to work with, that truly value you, right? You can always give them a great sale or discount, but customers are not happy when you raise prices, right? So I'm seeing a couple of hearts on here. Thank you for that. So as we wrap up today's episode on turning passion into online profits, again, you have to decide on those 2 things. Say yes to yourself. What's the impact I want to make, right? Why do I want it? Who do I want to serve? That I really want to make an impact on a larger scale. That's what's going to get you online. That's what's going to get you to decide if it's truly a community project, a hobby, or a real business that you want to get into, right? And then 2, you got to decide yes to your future growth. Be honest with yourself. I know these sound really simple, but I am so surprised every time I talk to people, and I often say, gosh, what is it that you want to do with your online course or your, I don't know, your online e-commerce store, right? And they're like, oh, I'm just dabbling. And I'm like, okay, great. It's a great hobby. But they're like, and then you start digging and they're like, oh, I wish I want to make more money. Well, how much money do you want to make? I don't know. Well, friend, I can't help you hit that number if you haven't even committed to that number yet. I know it's scary, but just commit to it, right? So, two, deciding or say yes to your future self. Do you see yourself doing this with a team? Because when you launch your online business, whether it's e-commerce, service-based, coaching, consulting, whatever mastermind, right? There's one of 6 online income streams that I often teach. You got to see yourself with a team. I want you to start launching and building, say, how can I launch and build a community? How can I launch and build my community? How can I launch and build my community? We're not talking about number of followers, we're talking about community, because you do not need a large following to make money. You need quality, not quantity in all of this, right? So here's some great lesson. Amen. One rises, we all rise. Yes, reinvention is part of the struggle. So if you want comments, if you want notes of my my episode today, go ahead and type comments, handouts in the comments, and join me next week. Join me next week as I talk about the hottest customer trends that are happening in 2021 and how you can really prepare and pivot for that. But a lot of times, if you haven't made the decision already on whether or not you're really all in on this, like it doesn't even matter what you're building, right? Like it doesn't even matter what you're working on, right? You're just not going to show up consistently enough to truly monetize and make money in your business. Making money in business really comes down to what I call the money levers of marketing, sales, right? Customer success, and a product, right? I can show you and teach you all those things, but if you have not yet made a decision about whether or not you want to do this as a real business where you're making money, right? Or a community initiative where you're just looking to self fund, maybe it's 1 or 2 projects that you're just looking to out there to make an impact and inspire people, then like that's how you know. That's how you know, right? So if I'm talking to you today and you would love some help on really how to like digest, my goodness, how do I work through this and really turn my passion into a project? I encourage you to reach out to me, and let's have that conversation, right? And if you're just like, no, I really want to figure out like how do I launch my online income stream? I want one clear conversion path. I want to know who I'm messaging to. Elizabeth, I have all these really great ideas and all of this knowledge in my head, but I don't know how to package it. I don't know who's going to buy. I don't know if I should do a course, an online event. I don't know how to like start it, all of that. Then reach out to me, book a complimentary call with me, and let's have a conversation. I'm here to serve. I often say that I only want to work with people, right, that are really, really serious about this because I'm building a community. I am building a community of purpose, vision driven entrepreneurs that are all about passion and profits. Because when you rise, we all rise. And that is what I am looking to do in 2021. And so if you want to join me for 2021, right, and be part of truly a community, not just a course, a program that after 3 months it ends, you never see the coach or consultant again, or after, 6 months of an online course, you're just still left like with no feedback. And you're like, am I doing this right? Then just have the conversation with me. And if it feels right and it feels good to you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. You go out there, you rise, you shine, and my door is always open when you are ready to really take it to that next level. So I am out. Oh, I am out. And I also want to share this is like the first episode that's going to be going on my YouTube channel. So if you could kindly subscribe to that, that would be great. It is Elizabeth Yang, the customer yes. That would be awesome. All right. So join me next week. We're talking about the hottest customer trends for 2021 online and how you can start planning. Hopefully, you've already been planning, but you can start thinking about how that's going to impact you. All right. So, with that, I am out. Rise and shine, and I'll talk to you next.